Hey guys, welcome back. Today we are going to build a map together and explore the emergence of religion in world building. Imagine standing at the edge of a vast ancient forest thousands of years ago, the wind whispering through the trees, shadows dancing with the flicker of firelight, the unknown lurking just beyond the reach of your senses. For early humans, the world was a place of wonder and danger, filled with forces they couldn't entirely comprehend. Perhaps for that reason, to make sense of it all, they began to come up with the concept of divinity. In the earliest days, our ancestors faced a world that was both generous and unforgiving. A successful hunt could mean survival, while a sudden storm could spell disaster. Perhaps for this reason, they turned to the idea that everything around them was alive with spirits. This belief system, known as animism, proposed that every rock, tree, animal, and even the weather had its own spirit or consciousness. If a river could flood or dry up, perhaps it was because the river's spirit was angry or content. By understanding and respecting these spirits, people hope to influence their world in positive ways. As societies grew more complex, so too did their spiritual beliefs. The myriad of spirits began to take on more defined roles and responsibilities and personalities, evolving into deities with specific domains. You have polytheism emerging. Cultures like those in ancient Mesopotamia, Egypt, and Greece developed rich pantheons of gods and goddesses. Each deity had control over certain aspects of life and nature, like the sun, the sea, love, or war. And myths and legends flourished, offering explanations for natural phenomena and human emotions. Why does the sun rise and set? Perhaps it's a sun god traveling across the sky. Why do we feel love or anger? Maybe it's the influence of a love goddess or a god of war. These stories didn't just entertain, they provided the people a framework for understanding the world, and they taught moral lessons. They connected communities through shared beliefs and practices. In some regions, the multitude of gods began to give way to the idea of a singular, all powerful deity. Monotheism took hold. Religions like Judaism introduced the concept of one God who was responsible for all creation and moral law. This idea was revolutionary, suggesting that a single divine force governed everything, providing a unifying belief system. These beliefs laid the groundwork for religions like Christianity and Islam. These faiths spread widely, influencing cultures across the globe, introducing concepts like salvation and judgment and an afterlife shaped by one's actions. But what role did this divinity or these divinities play in human societies? Well, first, it explained the unexplainable, natural phenomena. Before the advent of modern science, people often sought explanations for the wonders and calamities of the natural world through stories. It was a personification of nature. Deities became embodiments of natural forces. The sun wasn't just a bright object in the sky, it was a sun god riding his chariot across the heavens. Thunder wasn't just a loud noise, it was the sound of a mighty deity wielding a hammer or hurling lightning bolts. For example, in Norse mythology, Thor, the god of thunder, would bring each thunderclap as his hammer struck his enemies. It also explained seasonal cycles. The changing seasons, which were crucial for agriculture, could be explained by the stories of gods and goddesses. When a god mourned, winter would come. When a god rejoiced, spring would arrive. It explained natural disasters. Catastrophic events like floods, earthquakes, and droughts were often seen as expressions of divine displeasure. In many cultures, a prolonged drought might be interpreted as a sign that the rain god was angry, prompting rituals and offerings to appease this deity. By attributing these phenomena to the actions of deities, people found comfort in believing that they could influence events through worship, rituals, and moral behavior. Deities across the world also served as ultimate authorities on right and wrong, establishing moral codes that governed individual behavior and societal norms. You see this in the divine lawgivers. Many religions feature deities who provide laws or commandments. In the Abrahamic traditions, we see this with God giving Moses the Ten Commandments. They also embodied virtues. Deities personified ideals like justice, wisdom, courage, compassion, serving as models for human behavior. We see this in Egyptian mythology, with gods representing truth, balance, and order. They also provided stories as lessons, so myths and legends about gods and their interactions with humans often carried moral messages. Think about the story of Prometheus in Greek mythology, who defies the gods to bring fire to humanity, raising questions about rebellion and punishment and the pursuit of knowledge. These divine guidelines helped establish societal rules and expectations, promoting cohesion and reducing conflicts by providing a shared understanding of acceptable behavior. In that sense, shared belief in deities and participation in religious practices fostered a sense of belonging and identity among members of society. Regular communal activities like festivals, sacrifices, and rites of passage reinforced social bonds. Places of worship served as community centers where people gathered not just for religious purposes, but also for social interaction. Worship of specific deities could unify people under a common cultural or national identity. Religious beliefs often define social structures with roles such as priests, shamans, or oracles holding significant influence. By providing shared beliefs and practices, deities help knit individuals into these cohesive communities, enabling societies to function more effectively. Deities also offered comfort and guidance during personal and communal crises. In times of illness, loss, or hardship, people turned to their deities for solace and assistance. They also helped mediate uncertainty. The unpredictability of life was more bearable when people believed that benevolent deities watched over them, or that rituals could influence outcomes. For example, fishermen might perform rituals to appease sea gods before embarking on voyages, hoping for safe and bountiful journeys. Deities also played a role in legitimizing rulers and political structures. You have the divine right of kings, monarchs claiming their authority is granted by the gods, making their rule unquestionable, like the pharaohs of ancient Egypt, who were considered gods on earth, bridging the divine and the mortal realms. You have state religions, where governments adopt official deities or religions to unify diverse populations under a common ideology. Is the world that you're creating one where divinity is something that has evolved over time in response to natural phenomena, to society, to the development of social hierarchy? Or is it one where it's been handed down directly from the gods who are actively involved in real and exercise a real influence on your world? Or perhaps is it a situation where we don't know, where the inhabitants of the world pray in faith, but have no idea whether their prayers will be heard or answered? In your own world building, you need to think about the origins of spirituality and religion, of the deities in your world. What prompted the earliest inhabitants of your world to develop spiritual beliefs? How did they interpret natural phenomena? What mysteries or uncertainties led to the quest for understanding beyond the physical world? What significant events like natural disasters or celestial occurrences influenced the spirituality of those early inhabitants? Did dreams and visions play a role in their spiritual development? What was their understanding of life and death? How did that shape their beliefs? Did they have a concept of an afterlife or a spirit world from the beginning? How did the need for survival influence those spiritual practices of those early inhabitants of your world? How did their environment affect the emergence of spiritual beliefs? How did they perceive the spirits of animals, plants, inanimate objects? Which natural features like mountains, rivers, forests were considered sacred? Did natural phenomena like storms, earthquakes, eclipses fit into those beliefs or shape them? What about the evolution of the beliefs? How have spiritual beliefs changed over time and society? What events have caused shifts in spiritual understanding? Have new deities or spirits emerged in belief systems? How are those reconciled with the old knowledge and the existing beliefs? Is there syncretism where cultures and religions are merging and their spiritual practices are merging? Answering these questions of what caused the emergence of religion, of faith, of belief in your world and your world building will help you go a long way in defining the religions and the contours of the religions that populate your world today. Thanks again for watching. The procedural map generator is an open source map making project initially designed for Crusader Kings 3 but generalized for any use. Please feel free to check it out at ck2rpg.github.io/generator. Feel free to join our Discord if you have any questions about generating maps with the project. If you want to follow along with the development or learn more about world building, please hit like and subscribe below. Thanks again for watching.